Hello bookworms! Today I'm going to be doing my September TBR video. I just realized that I'm still holding my cup of tea, which I normally don't do in videos, but I need caffeine, so. So last month I had a really great reading month, which you will hear more about in my wrap-up, which I will have up next week. I decided to do my TBR first because I didn't realize, but the week, like the whole next week, is still August, which is really exciting. September doesn't start until Friday, which is super great, so I have a whole other couple of days to possibly squeeze in one more book. So anyway, I wanted to continue along the trend of like solid reading months that I've been having, and I really want to read a lot in September. September is one of my favorite months of the year because it's getting closer to Halloween and getting closer to Christmas, and it's when everything outside starts changing and the weather starts getting cooler, and I just am such a fall person. And yeah, I just cannot wait to trade my gingham and ice cream for pumpkins and plaid. So a lot of the books that are on my TBR are very atmospheric reads, and a lot of fantasy books because I tend to dive more into those when the autumn months are upon us. So here we go. The first book on my TBR is The Hazelwood by Melissa Albert. This book actually doesn't come out until January, but I definitely could not wait until then to read it. It follows a girl named Alice, and she has a grandmother who is famous for writing these really dark fairy tales, and her grandmother passes away, and once that happens, Alice's mom gets stolen. So the person that steals her mother away claims to be from the hinterland, which is the world that her grandmother wrote her stories in. So now Alice has to set out and try to save her mom from this place that she doesn't even really think exists, but totally, definitely, probably does. So this sounds really good. It's gotten really good reviews so far, and I just have been like so excited for it, and I feel like September is the perfect time to read it, so I am like, this is my #1 book on my TBR. The next book on my TBR is another ARC, and it is Haunting the Deep by Adriana Mather. This book comes out in October, so it's a little bit sooner than The Hazelwood, but I really enjoyed How to Hang a Witch like a lot more than I was expecting to, and that was such an atmospheric read that I really wanted to dive into the second one. The second book focuses on mysteries surrounding the Titanic, which sounds really exciting, and if it's anywhere near as entertaining as the first one, I know I'm gonna love this one too. I had read the first one so quickly after getting this ARC because once I heard that it was about the Titanic, I was like, oh my god, I need to read this so that I can read this one. So I'm really excited to get to this one. Next on my list is The Fifth Season by N.K. Jemisin. I actually don't really know what this book is about. I just know that it is an adult fantasy novel. I know that the Sword and Laser book club read it when it came out, and I had been interested in it since then, but I hadn't ever picked it up. But the second book in the series, The Obelisk Gate, actually just won a Hugo Award, so that has repeaked my interest in the series, and it actually won the award. It was either a week after or before the third book, The Stone Sky, I believe it's called, came out. So now all 3 books in the trilogy are available, so I really want to get on it and read this one. And there's also a television show that is in development for the 5th season, so lots of things lately have just gotten me a lot more hyped about this book. Next on my TBR is The Deal by Elle Kennedy. This is a new adult book, and I don't know why, but I all of a sudden had the urge to potentially read a new adult book or series this month, and I know that this is one that a lot of my friends really enjoyed, so this was like toward the top of my list of new adult reads. This is actually the new covers. The old ones have guys with abs on the front, which is typical new adults. So it follows a girl named Hannah who agrees to tutor a guy named Graham, and she's only doing so to get a pretend date from him in order to make a guy that she really likes jealous, which already sounds like a recipe for disaster. Neither of them can stand each other, and then once their tutoring session starts, something happens, and then they end up really liking each other, and it sounds like it's gonna be cute. I believe he's on the hockey team, so there is like some sports that go on in here, but yeah, it just sounds like a really quick and fun read, so I've been wanting to get to it for a while, and I figured this will be like a good one to read between fantasies, because I don't know about you, but I'm usually someone that needs to read a book as what I call a palate cleanser between different worlds. Sometimes I can read a bunch of fantasy in a row, and sometimes I can like, I'll be fine if I read like a fantasy and then a sci-fi and then another fantasy or something. But sometimes I just want like a quick, like mindless read while I am getting over my last story, and I feel like this totally fits that bill. And then I have a couple of books that were on my August TBR that I sadly did not get to this month, but I swear I'm going to read them in September, so I'm not going to go into depth about them because I've already talked about them, but I'm just going to show them to you really quick. First of all, The Gentleman's Guide to Vice and Virtue is like very high on the top of my TBR, and I'm actually the next person from my library to get out the digital version because I've been reading digitally a lot more lately. So that is why I haven't actually picked it up yet. It's because I've been waiting and waiting and waiting to finally get the book from my library. Now that I'm number one, I feel like it's going to happen at some point in September. So as soon as that comes, I'm definitely gonna be dropping everything else to read this one. I also really want to read Hunting Prince Dracula, and this book comes out on September 19th. So I'm definitely planning on reading it before the release date because I just want to be able to like be excited for it as it's coming out. And Carrie Maniscalco is actually doing an event at Books of Wonder. I want to say it's on September 22nd, so I want to like read it before that event and just be able to go and like tell her how much I loved this book as much as the first one because I already know that I'm going to. And lastly on my TBR is Leviathan Wakes by James S.A. Corey, which is another book that I did not get to from August. I kind of failed at the Tome Topple readathon. I did read some books that were over 500 pages, but I did not read them during the readathon times because I just had other books that I was reading. I don't know what happened, but I still really want to read this one despite whether there's a readathon going on or not. So this is another one that I plan on getting to in September. I have some really long books on my TBR this month, so wish me the best of luck. But please let me know what you're planning on reading this month or if you have read any of the books that I have mentioned, and I will see you guys soon in a new video. Bye!